I please have your attention?
What's all the commotion around here?
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
It's actually very exciting. Your mic's muted. Yeah. And we lost him again. Hold on a minute. He'll be back. There he is. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Give it a minute, folks. We have audio issues.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay. I don't get this. The other night I played my videos. It didn't do that at all. And then, when you're on, it seems like it does it more often than when I was on with John.
It don't like
when I
me
was on
at
with
all.
Roberts the other night, it didn't do that at all. And I'm not exactly sure. All right. So again, I'm Brad, and I have Hammonds with me to do the Big Fuss Show. We are College Sportscast, and going to have a little bit of fun, some news and hot topics, and some segments tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
You been staying out of trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know. I think I know the answer to that already.
You know why?
I think I know the answer to that already. All right, guys. So we are presented by the Fanboys. We are featured on Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, the Real Fresh channel on Sunday nights. And we are on WSBN TV channel 30. All right, let's start out with some news and hot topics. I guess the biggest news is the Brock Bowers news. I guess that's probably the biggest news to hit on is that he has a high ankle sprain, and apparently it's bad enough that he's having surgery on a high ankle sprain. It's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. But he come back. I think he got hurt, and didn't he come back in the game and play against Vanderbilt a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he played a little bit with that ankle. He's a tough little guy.
But now they announced yesterday morning. I'm not sure if he's already had it or not, but they announced yesterday morning that he's having surgery, and it's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So
yeah,
that's a tough pill for Georgia.
Tough break for Georgia, but at the same time, Georgia's got other guys they can slot in there. They got Lovett, and they're probably, to me, Georgia's probably going to go to their running game now with Edwards.
No Darnell Washington.
No, they ain't got Darnell to bail them out a little bit, but
yeah,
Georgia's got some guys, man. They got some 4- and 5-star guys that can just slide in there, but they can't replace what Bowers brings to them, though. Bowers is a different dimension that he brings to the table. So it's a different look for this Georgia offense, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I'm going to dig into this a little bit further as we go along in the show. I've got another topic on it, so we'll move along to the next one. I think this one is on the funny side. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. So South Carolina coach Shane Beamer walks into his Tuesday press conference this morning, and he has a broken foot. And apparently, when they lost a 10-point fourth quarter lead against Florida and lost the game on Saturday, he kicked something and broke a bone in his foot.
That's tough.
A little bit emotional there, and kicks something and breaks a bone in his foot.
That's tough. That's really
so. I'm just saying,
really
to me, it's a little bit on the funny side.
It is, but he went AWOL-istic after the game. Did you hear some of his comments? I just
no,
I don't
not
know,
really.
Man. Beamer, I like Beamer.
He's very emotional.
Very.
Beamer is very
emotional.
Yeah, he is up and down with the emotions of the game and everything that's going on, and he is very emotional. Beamer is, and I can actually see him losing his cool and doing this actually, and he did. Like, he walked into the press conference for this week with a broken foot. So, it is what it is. But I had to put that on here because I thought it was a little bit funny on the funny side. Now, this one's not funny. Just a couple of last week or just tough. Last week or the week before, we was talking about Iowa. Yeah, Cade McNamara losing him with a torn ACL.
Well, they lose a quarterback, and now they lose one of their best tight ends. Like, that's tough.
Yep.
Like, that's really tough. And
they're coming off the big win.
Well, let's be fair. Their offense did not look it. Yeah, they won.
Still won 15-6. They held Wisconsin to 6 points.
They did beat Wisconsin, but at the same time, man, I was going to have to get this offense straightened out because it's atrocious.
Well, now, it's pretty hard to straighten out your offense when you're losing your quarterback and your top tight end for the season. It is.
I agree, but even when they had him, it was not real good offensively.
Well, I mean, the last week or two, they've been playing without the quarterback. Now they're going to be playing without the top tight end. I mean,
yeah, that makes a difference.
That's a tough one to swallow.
It is. I agree with you.
Like, that's tough. And Iowa is set now kind of in the driver's seat in the, I guess, the other – I don't know what the divisions are in the Big Ten. I don't know what they call them. The one opposite Michigan.
I think it's South and the West, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
I think.
But they're in the lead in that division because they just beat Wisconsin. So and then this one is Air Force QB Zach Larrier is going to be out for a few weeks with a knee injury. The coach is kind of being nil on it. He's not really given a time frame on this, but
that one's a little tough.
He said the coach said he's going to be out a while, is what the coach said.
Yeah, this one's tough because Air Force is 6-0. 6-0. They're playing some really good football right now, and they're probably the most non-talked about team in college football right now. And
they are.
Nobody has really said much about Air Force and what they have. They got a really good offense, but their biggest thing, they got a really good defense. And if I'm not mistaken, they're in the top 50 in defensive efficiency, I think. So they're a really good football team. And Air Force is, they've won some crucial games and they got some big games coming up. So
they had a great season last year.
They did, and we'll see how they do without their quarterback, which can be a tough situation when you ain't got a quarterback back there to make things happen.
Right. It is. Going to switch it up. Basketball's about to begin in a few weeks. I wanted to ask you about the college basketball influx of international players that we are seeing. UCLA's got some. There's a couple of more out west. Arizona picked up some, I believe. Of course, Kentucky brought in Big Z. We're seeing kind of an influx of international players into the college game and going to school and stuff. So, what do you think is attributing to that? We really haven't seen that before. Your mic's muted.
My
See?
bad. Sorry about that.
Hey,
See,
I
we're
thought
all screwing up tonight. But you caught me off guard with that one. I think a lot of it has to do with the stuff you see in the NBA. You know, with all the international players. You know, with what's the Mavericks guard's name? Doncic. You see it with them. And you see them coming from.
Well, I mean, that's usually when they come to America, they've been going to the NBA. And now we're kind of seeing an influx.
They go straight from
into college.
They go straight
is the NIL part of that deal, you think?
I think it is.
They can make
a lot
money?
of it. I think NIL has a big deal with it, and I think they just want to be put on the big stage. You know, look at Big Z. You know, he had two or three teams that was after him, and he ultimately chose Kentucky because he wants, to be on the big stage and have an opportunity to play on the big stage. And that's where you get those big opportunities is like places like Kentucky,
UCLA,
UCLA, North Carolina,
Right.
even Arizona now, even teams like Marquette. Marquette's got a few. Marquette's getting Shaka Smart is turning Marquette around as we speak. And I think it has a lot to do with the NIL, and I think a lot of it has to do with just, they want an opportunity in America. They want an opportunity to play and shine to the next level, and I think this gives them an opportunity to do that.
It's just something completely different. I'm 49 years old.
I've
been following basketball all my life.
I actually enjoy it, to be honest.
And there's this great influx going on of college basketball international players coming in, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Well, you even see it with Tennessee, Santiago Vescovi. You see it with Vescovi,
and they've got another one this time. I think
he's coming back for what, his sixth season. I think.
I've been making jokes that he's in his ninth year. I mean, I know it's just a joke, but
he wasn't there. He wasn't there as long as Perry Ellis was at Kent. Perry Ellis was there since the Obama administration. So
Vescovi's in his ninth year at Tennessee. I'm pretty sure. But that's kind of a joke, but kind of not.
No, it's kind of not. No.
All right. So beyond that, in the last couple of days, the preseason basketball polls have come out, and what's your initial thoughts on the basketball polls?
I think they got it right. Everybody says, well, why isn't Kentucky ranked in the top 10 and the top 5? That was a lot of people was asking questions about that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the last 3 or 4 years at Kentucky under Cal. They haven't produced. They haven't done what, that's up to Kentucky standards. They lost to St. Peter's in the first round a couple years ago. Then they come back and they got the 6th seed last year and beat Providence. Then they got beat by a really good Kansas State team. And it just seems like Kentucky hasn't advanced past the round of 32. I guess what's it been since 2017, I think?
19.
Maybe 18, 19. 19 with Tyler Hero and all
the Tyler Hero group got to the
Tyler Hero group. Yeah. So a lot of that has to do with the last couple of years, I think. Kansas, I thought, was appropriate for number 1. They got Hunter Dickinson, they got DeJuan Harris, that good guard. They're going to be Kansas is going to be a really good team to watch.
They have a good starting 5. I'm just not sure about their bench.
And I tell you another team that's going to be a very, very underrated team, and that is Texas A&M, because they bring back half of their team, plus they bring back, they named him preseason player of the year this year was Wade Taylor. Wade Taylor is an absolute ball hawk. He plays really good defense, does all the good things that you like. I think last year Texas A&M kind of,
surprised
I wouldn't
people.
say yeah, they did. And everybody says, well, they had they lost in the first round of Penn State. But at the same time, they still done a lot compared to what they had the last 3 or 4 years. Buzz Williams has got a really
Buzz is a great coach, man. Great
Buzz
coach.
is a good coach. Anytime you take Marquette from the doldrums and you do what he did at Virginia Tech, there's something to be said about his coaching pedigree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a tough, hard-nosed coach. I'm not sure that he could be a mountaintop leader, but you put him in a program where he's got to climb and be tough and hard-nosed to get there, and he is a great coach for that.
I'll say this. I'm just going to run it down. This is the top 25. You got 1 Kansas, 2 Duke, 3 Purdue, 4 Michigan State, 5 Marquette, 6 UConn, 7 Houston, 8 Creighton, 9 Tennessee, 10 Florida Atlantic. They bring back 5 starters from a year ago.
Time that happened, 1982.
That's been a while.
From the Final Four
11 Gonzaga,
5
12 Arizona, 13 Miami, 14 Arkansas, 15 A&M, 16 Kentucky, 17 San Diego State, 18 Texas, 19 North Carolina, 20 Baylor, 21 USC, 22 Villanova. Villanova looks to be on the bounce back this year. They're going to have a lot better team this year. 23 St. Mary's, 24 Alabama, and 25 Illinois. I'll say this. I was very surprised that UCLA and Colorado was not in this top 25. De Silva for Colorado is one of my favorite players. He gets after it on the defensive end. He gets after it on the boards. They got 2 or 3 guys that average, I think, double figures. UCLA is going to have a really good team. The biggest one I thought in the SEC was Auburn, because Auburn's going to have a really good team this year. I think they get Johnny Broome back. They get a couple stud freshmen. They're going to be tough.
Adam Holloway is going to be a tough
Mississippi
one.
State's going to be good. Florida got, I think, 2 votes. I'm really shocked that Missouri only got 6 votes. What Dennis Gates is doing at Missouri is something that me and you never thought would have happened. He's actually going out and he's competing for 5-star talent with the likes of Kentucky, UCLA, and these others, Kansas. I think Kentucky's actually in a race right now with Missouri for a basketball player, a 5-star. So what he's doing at Missouri is unheard of, to be honest. The football team's doing good, and now Dennis Gates is bringing it up in the basketball. Which Missouri back in the day, if you remember, Missouri was a really good basketball program back in the Big 12. They had guys like Keon Doolin, Kim English.
Absolutely.
There was a couple of guys that what was the little guard's name that played back in the early 2000s? Gilbert was one. He was a really good player. Missouri had some good teams back in the Big 12. And they're kind of getting back to that level of toughness that you see in the Big 12 with this new SEC realignment and such. So
right,
and
absolutely.
The preseason polls came out today. The SEC in the top 4 was Tennessee was 1, 2.
Texas
A&M, 3 was Arkansas, and 4 was Kentucky. Which I agree with that. That's your top 4.
5 was Bama, I think.
5 was Bama. I think that's your top 5, top 4. Beyond that, it's a crapshoot, to be honest, because you got Missouri going to be a lot better than like last year. They was really good last year. Then you got Alabama. Then you got teams like Georgia and South Carolina that's going to be somewhat improved. I mean, they're not going to be Final Four contenders, but they're going to be at least competitive in the SEC. You know, Mike White has brought in a really good transfer roster at Georgia. Florida's going to be good. Coach Golden, he done a really good job with San Francisco. I think he'll have a good team at Florida. And then you got South Carolina with Paris, that coach down there. He actually got a Kentucky kid a week ago, 2 maybe. The Noah kid from Harlan. The Noah kid from Harlan. He's a really good basketball player. I love the Noah kid that plays at Harlan. I think he's an absolute treasure to watch. If you haven't watched basketball, go watch. I think his name's Trevor Noah, maybe. I know that's awful to not remember somebody's name, but hold on.
Well, I'm not good with names, so
I ain't either.
I'm gonna try to play my pick six video. If I don't have sound when I come back, I won't do the other one. While you're looking it up, we're gonna.
I'm looking it up. Just give me just a minute. Trent Noah.
Okay.
Trent.
Can you hear
Trent
me?
Noah's. Trent. Yeah, Trent Noah's his name.
Okay. All right. This is our pick six segment. We're going to move on and go to our pick six segment. So we are about at the midseason, 7 weeks into college football. We're about at the midseason mark, and a lot of people are talking about midseason All-American teams. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to run through some of these, and then I'm not going to run through every single one, every single position, but some of the main ones I am.
Okay.
I think.
Can I go first?
Huh?
Can I go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was going to run through like the main positions and midseason All-American teams
I'll give you some. I'll give you a few. Let me just give you a few of mine, and I'll let you go from there. Here's 2 of mine receivers. I think Malik Neighbors from LSU is one. I think Luther Burden from Missouri is another.
Which, by the way, is 2 SEC guys.
2 SEC guys. I think Brock Bowers, even though he's injured, he's still on this list.
The tight end.
He leads Georgia with 41 catches, 567 yards, and he has 5 touchdowns. He's got 4 receptions and 1 rushing touchdown. From there, I would go – I'm going to go defense on this. I think on the edge, you got Dallas Turner from Alabama. He stepped up since Will Anderson left from the NFL. Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. You know what's key about Tyleik Williams is he weighed more than 300 pounds when he stepped on the Ohio State football campus. And now I think he's 290. He's in the best shape that I've seen, and he's playing really good football. And then another one I got that a lot of people haven't really heard about is Cooper DeJean from Iowa, their cornerback. Cooper is having an outstanding year. He has 7 since the beginning of last year. He has 7 interceptions. He's got 2 this year. Nobody else in FBS has that in that span. So that was another guy that I was kind of looking at, for defense. And then I'm going to go one more, and I'll let you go, is Malachi Starks for Georgia. He was one of the best true freshmen last year, and he's only gotten better, to be honest. He's 3rd on the team with 25 tackles. He's got 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups. Here's a key stat about Malachi Starks. He is the only safety in the country to rank in the top 15 for both coverage grade and run defense grade.
That's pretty good.
That tells you what Kirby Smart is doing at Georgia with that kind of talent, man.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard to top.
All right, so I'm going to run through some of the main positions. So on offense, QB it's got to be Michael Penix Jr. If you ask me, at this point, honorable mention would be
Heisman.
Honorable mention would be Jaden Daniels from LSU. Would be mine right now for the quarterback. Running backs, Jonathan Brooks from Texas would be one of my tops. Also, Audric, and I don't know how he pronounces his last name, from Notre Dame, the running back, Estime. I'm not sure if that's how he pronounces it.
I think that's how you say it, yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce it. Honorable mention, I'm going to give it to Ray Davis from Kentucky.
I was starting to say, as much as Kentucky has struggled offensively with Devin Leary and the receivers, the kind of year that Ray Davis is having is really impressive.
It's pretty special.
He
is second in the country in scoring.
The Florida game,
touchdowns.
He literally took over the Florida game, and had it not been for questionable coaching Saturday night, he would have taken over the Missouri game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was on his way. Absolutely.
What they done, they went away from what Ray Davis does, and they tried to mix it up. Go where your hosses are.
Yeah,
and that was
absolutely.
Ray Davis was picking up 3 to 4 yards at a time, and you go away from him.
Oh, he was averaging about 7 or 8 yards a carry.
7 or 8 yards,
yeah.
In
the first quarter.
And you're up 14-0, and then you get away from that. That didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The two receivers that you mentioned are the two that I was going to mention, and Neighbors and Burden. My honorable mention would be Washington's Rome Odunes. I'm not how he pronounces his name.
And I'll tell you another one to watch.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Is Tez Walker from North Carolina. He'll be on that list eventually.
He might be at the end of the year. Marvin Harrison Jr. is my other one that I was going to mention. You already said Brock Bowers. I'm not going to get into edge rushers, Dallas Turner.
I'll give you a guy.
Johan Elis from Utah would be my honorable mention on that.
I'll give you a guy for me. Is Cooper Beebe. He's an offensive guard from Kansas State. He's probably one of the most consistent offensive linemen in college football.
I think he's on my list. Cooper Beebe is on my list as an offensive guard.
I think he's made 41 career starts. He hasn't. Okay, this is how consistent this guy is.
What's up, Clyde?
He hasn't given up a sack. He hasn't gave up a sack since 2020.
I mean, that's kind of good.
That's real good.
Kind of. Clyde, I agree with you. In my opinion, really Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have the best pro career out of any of the current college players that are within a year or two. Now, maybe you might have some freshmen and sophomores, but I think he's going to have the best pro career Marvin Harrison Jr. is. So just put that up there. But I do think that Neighbors and Burden so far have had better numbers this year. So that's where I was going with that. I mean, at the midway point. I'm trying to look. Zachariah Branch, the outstanding freshman, I would put him as the returner so far from USC. On my just to name a few different positions, I would put him as my returner.
Jay, I'll tell you another one that a lot of people have not mentioned is Jalen Wright from Tennessee, running back.
He
He's had a
would be
pretty
my
good year.
next honorable mention after I said Ray Davis, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, since you put Ray Davis, I put Jalen Wright. I think Jalen Wright is a big key to that Tennessee offense right now. Tennessee's not playing the best, offensively at quarterback. There's still some jams there with Milton, which I think they can get it figured out. Heupel's a really good coach. Which they got Alabama this week. We'll find out what Tennessee's made of this week when they go to Tuscaloosa. So
we will. All right, guys. So that is kind of our Pick Six segment on the midseason All-American team for college football. And we are going to go on to our no-fly zone.
Negative Ghost Rider.
That's not going to fly here.
All right. Can you hear me?
yes, sir.
All right. Just making sure. Sometimes when I play them videos and come back, the mic doesn't come back when it's supposed to. All right. The first one here, John, I don't know if you heard about this today, but I'm going to try to explain this to you, and I want to get your opinion on it. So there was another Senate hearing today with the NCAA trying to get the Senate to do some legislation, okay?
Oh, my goodness.
President Baker, the NCAA current president, Charlie Baker, in the hearing today shifted the idea of the athletes being deemed employees of the school so they would not have to count on federal legislation and they could do it themselves without federal legislation. And the reason why he wanted to do it where they're deemed employees is because if they're employees, they can be given benefits. They can have a union, players union.
Well, and two,
and things like that. So I wanted to
kids-
get your idea or your
Well,
thoughts on maybe it being shifted to
I think
the NIL.
I think it's a
being
good idea
shifted to
because
employees.
I think it's a good idea because you got kids that can't really dive into the aspect of the NIL yet in the locker room. You got the big timers, like Marvin Harrison Jr. and these others. But say you get all these guys on the same team to be employees of the schools, you basically can do whatever you want to with the NIL deal aspect of it. And you wouldn't have to worry about what was going on the outside, and you could worry about what was going on the inside. You know what I mean? And I think this is a good idea, and I think this is a fly. I think it's a good choice. I seen today something about where a NCAA official said he didn't like the ideas of this same thing and players getting paid. But the NCAA is the one who thought about this.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Well, so here's my deal, and I read up a little bit about this today. So the way I'm understanding it is if this was done just in Division I for the Division I athletes, that it would probably be a positive deal. If they open these doors to Division II and III and NIA and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be an absolute mess.
That's the problem. If you only do it for NCAA Division I teams, you're going to have to start going down to Division II, Division III, and so forth, because it's not – you're going to have people that's, like you said, it's going to make a mess, and kids want to benefit off their name. And this is a different time frame.
Well, so Charlie Baker is trying to give some of these players some benefits, and benefits like medical benefits, and some opportunity for money, even like 2 or 3 years after you're out of school, and stuff like that. And this is the possibilities of opening the door to some of that, and not needing um, federal government legislation to control all of it, basically. So I'm going to be right now hesitantly, when I don't know everything about this, I'm going to be a fly on it tonight. I
Yeah,
did
I
try
am
to
too.
I did try to look into it enough to know a little bit tonight, but I need to look into it more.
I think this is a fly.
Yeah. I actually think that it is
It,
a
hel- it
deal
helps.
that could
It
work.
helps all parties involved. Every school,
And then that way the schools can control how they, um, you know, manage and discipline their employees.
Yeah, it's sort of like me and you going to a job, and they have total control of me and you, and they do like with our checks, they can handle it any way they want to handle it. I think
Yeah.
that's I think that's a good thing to do. I mean, because you don't
Right.
have any outsiders to worry about in that regard. You just got to worry about your employees at the school.
Well, right now, I mean, they're wanting the government to control all of it, and they're not even half stepping up and doing anything about it. So it's
No,
basically
they're
half of it is not controlled at all right
it's
now.
not. It's not.
So all right. So that was my first topic, and I know that one was kind of a long one as far as explaining it all and everything. But so my next topic is Georgia and Bowers. Without Bowers, can Georgia still make the college football playoff?
Yes.
You're that confident? You don't even hesitate? They got Missouri, they got Tennessee,
I'll tell you why.
they got Florida.
Because Georgia has been in this position so many times. They've had a few players get hurt in the Kirby era, and they still managed to do what they need to do. And they had well, what was it last year? They lost to Alabama, which they had some key guys out and different things, but then they come right back and they got into the college football playoff and they whipped TCU pretty good. So Kirby is a motivator. Kirby knows how to motivate his team. Kirby knows how to flip a switch, so to speak, how to flip a switch on his team, how to know how to figure things out, how to diaphragm things, how to change things up. Okay, I'll give you an example. You look at the games that they've been behind in, the 14-3 against
They're going to get bit sometime or another.
South Carolina,
And
the Missouri game last year, the Ohio State game last year.
The Ohio State game last year, they got lucky to survive. Let's just be honest.
Yes, but you got to give Georgia credit.
Their kicker kicked it into the locker room instead of. I mean, come on, they got lucky to survive.
Yeah, but they still had the quarterback. If there's one thing that Georgia doesn't have compared to last year, they don't have the defense that they had last year. Now, is their defense legit? Yes. They got guys all over the field. They got guys that can play anywhere on the field. They got 3 or 4 guys they're subbing in and out. They're that good. But is there going to be a game down the road, say in Knoxville, where they're teetering on a loss, possibly some, a game-changing play, and they ain't got Brock Bowers to go to? Who steps up in that situation?
I mean, I agree with you. Wireman,
And
I'm
I
going to
don't
put
think,
you up here because you're on with us, and I
oh
like to
God,
see that you're on with us. But stop trying to cause trouble.
yeah, he's stirring it. He's stirring the
Yeah,
pot, man.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Bo. That's what I said, Bo. You know, Kirby has more guys to jump in there and make plays. And two,
All
you
I'm
know,
saying, guys, is some point in time they're going to get bit somewhere. They're not going to just keep winning forever. Okay, this is year 3. They're not quite as good as what they have been, and I think that's pretty evident outside of the damn Kentucky game. Every other game they played, they look mortal, most of it. Even the Vandy game last week
yeah,
compared to the Kentucky game.
they didn't
All
look their
right,
best against
and
Vandy.
and when you lose a guy the caliber of Brock Bowers for 4 to 6 weeks, 6 weeks means he's done until, I mean, maybe the SEC championship game or maybe the bowl game, or not the bowl, but the college football playoff, which is probably where they're
Well,
going.
he could possibly come back because that's not until late January or middle
I know
or
he would be back then. He
the
would be
first week
back
of
then,
January.
yes.
So I still think this is a fly.
Clyde. Exactly, Clyde. They did let Vandy, and Vandy had an early lead on them as well.
I still think this is a fly because listen, Brad. All right, we're going to fuss. This is what the show is.
It's the big fuss show. So, that's what it's about.
Georgia is Georgia until somebody beats them.
And at some point in time, somebody's going to knock their ass off.
They're back-to-back champions.
And I sure as hell wished it would have been us.
Kirby Smart is one of the best coaches in America. Until you beat Georgia, it's still you want to beat Georgia. Georgia's the top dog. Until you beat Georgia. Hello.
I got you, man. I'm hearing you. I really am. But all I'm saying is at some point in time, somebody's going to knock their ass off. Yeah. And my bet now that Kentucky, my bet is this: now that Kentucky's lost the games that they've lost already and lost to Missouri, and Missouri's in the driver's seat, I bet you any damn thing Missouri goes and picks them off without Bowers. What are you gonna bet? That's my bet.
And Anthony Wireman's trying to start trouble.
Wireman, don't make me block you.
Oh goodness!
I'm glad to see you on here, Wireman. So
yeah, he does that just to get a rouse out of me, and I'm not folding tonight. So
all right. So my next topic tonight on the no-fly zone is the first game this week in the moment of truth for Penn State. Do they pass or fail? They play Ohio State. They play Ohio State this week. I'm not saying win or lose here. I'm saying do they play and challenge and look the part? Because they get 2 games. They get Ohio State and Michigan. And the Ohio State game is on the road, and they get Michigan at home in a few weeks. So, but they have 2 games, and they have to win one of them. Do they challenge enough this week to at least pass the test?
Yes.
Because this is the moment of truth for Penn State.
I tell you why. Because Penn State actually has a quarterback now. And their quarterback play is –
But Penn State has a hell of a defense.
Well, they do. They
do. They do. They lead the country. They're better than Michigan.
This will be – let me say this. What's the point spread? 3 – was it 3.5 or something? 3, something like that. I think it's 3. I don't think Penn State wins this game.
Bo Buckner, are you talking about the Missouri bet? I think he is.
That's what he's talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
I think – man, you stumped me on – I think they pass this. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to win.
Man, I'm glad to see you guys on tonight. No kidding.
I don't know, man. This is tough. I don't think they'll win Saturday, but I think they pass the test.
So Wireman says Penn State wins, and Josh says Ohio State wins.
I just don't
and
know,
Buckner,
man.
Bo Buckner says Penn State wins this weekend.
This is a tough game, to be honest. And Ohio State, to me, hasn't really – I mean, they haven't really looked all that impressive, have they? Like you look at the game against Maryland, they had to put Maryland away.
Penn State has looked way more impressive to me in the games that they have played than Ohio State has. Yes, throughout the whole season. That's what I'm afraid to
touch. I'm afraid to touch this game, to be honest. Where's the game now?
We're gonna. It's at Ohio State. We're gonna pick this game on Thursday night.
Let's wait till Thursday night, man, because.
Yeah.
It's 3.5.
That's why I said you don't have to tell me win or lose because we're going to pick this game on Thursday night. So
I'll give you my answer. I'll give you my answer Thursday. But if they do they pass the test? Yes, that's a fly.
Okay. That's all I was wanting to find out. I think they will pass the test because, like I said, they get 2 chances at this, and I think they will pass the test.
It's 3.5, Josh, I think.
My next topic for our no-fly zone is a basketball. We're going to turn to basketball again. I did that a little bit ago on topics. The Big 12 commissioner says that the Big 12 is eyeing a 20-game hoop schedule after realignment next year. What do you think about that? With they're losing Texas and Oklahoma, going to the SEC. They're bringing in the Arizona schools, Utah, and Colorado. So they're going to gain 2 teams. And they're talking about going to a 20-game schedule.
I don't like it. And I'll tell you why, because
I'm talking about conference schedule, guys.
I'll tell you something today. You knock out the rivalry games like Arizona and Arizona State, games that have meant something for years on the hardwood, and even football. I'm not a huge proponent of this. And you got the traveling is the second part of this. You got teams traveling from, like UCLA, for instance. UCLA traveling all the way from California like they do, and then they go to a place like in the middle. They're
in 4 different time zones now. Are they going to be in 4 time zones?
It's true. It screws with the schedules, and I'm just not a big proponent of it. And this is a no-fly for me. I don't like it. It knocks out a lot. Like even like I said, the Arizona State games. It knocks out the opportunity for some of these rivalry games to continue. And you don't want to knock games that have meant something to these.
You definitely are going to lose, some non-conference games if you go to a 20-game schedule.
Yeah, you're going to lose some non-conference games as well.
Some
of the big-time games that you normally would like to see, you won't get those anymore. I think this whole new realignment crap is okay to an extent, but there's ways to go about it. I'm okay.
The Big Ten's got to make some decisions too on how many games they got a bunch of teams in.
I'm okay with Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC. I'm cool with that, but we're reaching a point now where it seems like this whole realignment thing is just going to be a cutoff from the NCAA, and we're going to say, you know what, we're just going to have a power conference, just a Power 5 conference.
I think that's kind of where we're headed in the future. I don't know how soon it is going to be, but
I'm not saying it's going to be next year, the year after, but eventually it's just going to be where every school is going to go somewhere and jump to a different location or conference. And it's basically going to kill a lot of these mid-major schools. Like some of these mid-major teams and some of these teams that don't have a lot of recognition in basketball or football, it's going to hurt them, to be honest, because you're going to move everybody into one big conference and you're going to leave them out in the wild trying to figure out how to get to that point. And I just don't think it's a good choice, to be honest. You're muted, Brad. Yeah. Let him come back a minute. But no, I think the realignment is – I think it's fine with the whole Oklahoma, Texas. There's certain realignments you can do. But there reaches a point where some of these little schools you're hurting in the long run, especially money-wise. So.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. I was reading a little bit an article on what the Big 12 commissioner was saying, and he was saying with this 20-game schedule that he would do like kind of group scheduling. If they were going to the East Coast time zone, they would play 2 or 3 games in the East Coast time zone. If they were going to it'd be a West road swing, they would, go to the Pacific time zone and play a couple of games. And that they were looking into doing that like inside the time zones to cut down on all the travel and stuff. That part of it actually made sense. So,
but still a no fly for me. So.
All right. I mean, I just wanted to throw it in there. I seen it and I thought it would be a pretty good topic. There is another basketball topic here that I wanted to get to. And this one was going to be great with all the Kentucky fans. Kansas gets a slap on the wrist for infractions. And this is after, the Tennessee football deal and what happened with them. And
Anthony Wireman brings up a good point. He says, do they realize the bowling and rifle teams still have to travel across the country too?
It's crazy, Anthony. I mean, I agree with you 100%.
And soccer has to do that.
How about Olympic sports that don't make any money? I mean,
tennis,
stuff like that.
Swimming. Yeah.
I mean,
that was actually a good topic.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy. I mean, honestly. But so, what I was getting at here is, does the NCAA have any stout? I mean, are they anything anymore at all? I just basically you can do whatever you want, and you can say, "Oh, I'm going to suspend my coach for 8 games," and they're like, "Okay, that's good. We don't need to do anything else."
I think
it's ridiculous.
And even, with NCAA at the same time, even I think they become useless when they started this whole NCAA tournament change about. I felt like it was fine with what we was doing, and then we went from one team to this many teams to a play-in game to another, and now they're wanting to push a button to where everybody gets involved.
Kansas had 5 level 1 infractions. 5. Not 1, not 2. They had 5. And I mean, why have level 1, level 2, level 3 infractions if it doesn't matter? Like, why? I don't even understand
I
the
agree with you.
concept to any of this anymore.
They're and it's going to reach a point. Nobody's interested, to be honest. It's just.
I mean, I know Bo said he's a Tennessee football fan, but they had something like 18 level 1 infractions and got a slap on the wrist and have to pay back. They had to pay back some money.
Somebody made a good point here. If that was Kentucky, will we get the max punishment?
When Kentucky had done it in the past, they have. I can tell you that. Now, the way things have going nowadays, I don't know that that's the way it would go, but in the past they have. That's for sure.
Look. Let's go back to, what was it, 1988, 87 with the whole Sean Kemp thing. Now, I agree that Sean Kemp shouldn't have done what he done, Chris Mills and all them, but Kentucky got punished for that. And I've seen a lot of
Chris
things
Vaughn
worse.
is on with us. I appreciate Chris being on. Wireman, Bo, Josh, Clyde. There's been quite a few on with us tonight, so I just want to say thank you guys.
This maybe goes by a little faster with people on it. And now he wants to do the 10 rappers of all time. Now, Brad, we're gonna have to do something with Wireman. He's getting out of control up here, man. But no. So look at the thing with Sean Kemp back when Eddie Sutton was there. You know, I get what happened was bad.
That was really harsh, but that was a long time ago now. But when you look back over the last 10 years, there's really no punishment for any of these teams. Not really. They self do some punishment and take away some stuff, suspend a coach, do some things, reduce a scholarship or some recruiting visits or two.
I'll give you one that made Brad's Lucky Charms twist last year. The Oklahoma State. The Oklahoma State last year.
Yeah.
You was really angry over that last year.
I mean, it's just, I don't understand it anymore. Like, I don't even understand why there's levels to infractions and why just say basically you can do whatever you want and just impose your own, stupid small little infractions, or your own punishments and you can do whatever you want to, basically, because that's what happens.
If Calipari in Kentucky had 5 level 1 violations, the NCAA would relocate to Lexington and work around the clock.
They would try to bury Kentucky, probably.
They'd bury us.
And the media definitely would.
Yeah.
That's the thing now. I don't know about the NCAA, but the media would try everything in the world to bury Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And you don't even hardly hear nothing about Kansas for the last. This is from 17, 18. Okay, these infractions, and they're just now even finalizing it. Yeah. Like, that's ridiculous. That was almost 6 years ago, almost. So all right, we're gonna get to our final buzzer. Our final buzzer is kind of our last thing of the episode.
You're going in. Your mic's kind of staticking.
Okay. Well, this is it. So
this is it, Brad.
Yeah. So mine is on Tez Walker. It was good to see Tez Walker play against Miami at home. He had his high school family and coach there, and 6 receptions for 151 yards and 3 touchdowns against Miami in his first full game back. He gets to play the last half of this season, and it was good to see. I just want to say that.
Look what happened to Bruce.
The NCAA finally got something right.
Look what happened to Bruce Pearl for having a recruit at a cookout at Tennessee. That was a little out there too. And they put the hammer on Pearl for that.
But again, that's probably been 10 years ago now.
Yeah, it's
Anything in the last 8 or 10 years, they've just gotten away with anything.
yeah. But thank you for tonight,
You don't want to
guys.
say you don't want to say your final that you were talking about with me. You're going to hold that with
I
me?
mean, here's where I want to go with this. You know, I love what Stoops has done for Kentucky. That's unheard of. But when you're reaching a level to a point to where you need to go to the next level, you cannot do what you did Saturday night, and you cannot do what you did last week against Georgia. Last year, Kentucky goes to Tennessee, big opportunity, primetime game, get blowed out. This year, big opportunity to make things happen against Georgia, go down there and get blowed out. It's the same stuff over and over and
It
over.
is kind of that. I will say that. So here's the deal. Stoops got us to a point about 5 years ago, raised us up to a point to where we are consistently, 5-2, 6-2, something like that. And then a couple of times we have finished off the season strong, won a couple of Citrus Bowls, won 10 games. And then a lot of times we go 500 the rest of the way, and or something like that, and we really have not went up another level over the last
it stayed the same.
over the last 5 years.
But here's what I don't get with the fans, and not all fans are like this, but you've beaten teams, cupcakes, Eastern Kentucky, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, and you beat up on a down SEC year, like teams down in their years. Like, for example, Florida was down for a long time, and we beat them, 3 years in a row. You beat Tennessee in a down year, and Tennessee's getting better. You beat Missouri in some down years. You beat South Carolina in some down years.
But to be fair, you're supposed to beat them in down years.
What
want
happens?
A coach who can beat them in down years. We've had coaches who couldn't even do that.
But what happens
Junker
when
Phillips couldn't figure his way out of a wet bag?
No, but what happens when the SEC gets better with Oklahoma and Texas coming to town? That's my biggest thing.
We're gonna find out pretty soon. That's why this year was important, I think. And I know we got Bo on with us, but Kentucky's on a bye week. Tennessee's going to play Alabama, and then they play Kentucky. We've got some work to do. We got to speed up the offense. And I wrote an article.
I'm going to say this on the final buzzer. I'm going to say this on the final buzzer, and we'll let this die. If you're okay with 7-8 wins, going to a Music City Liberty Bowl, that's on you. But at some point, you got to get to the level where you reach another level and start getting New Year's Six bowls and getting players, because
I want
let me give you an example. There's some teams out there. I'm not going to name them. I'm not going to name names, but there's some teams out there that have went to the next level that has been in Kentucky's shoes, and we're saying that Kentucky cannot do that.
No, Kentucky can do that, and I think that is on Mark right now. He has taken us to this level, but we need to move up. It's an important week in the bye. That's what I was talking about, to work on speeding up this offense. Check out my article on StadiumRant.com about 3 keys to improve during the bye week. Check that out.
Exactly, but Bo, he said until Kentucky starts paying big money, they'll never win championships. And I'll even go a step further. When we play Tennessee in 2 weeks,
paying big money. They have the 8th highest paid coach in the country.
$9 million for those kind of results.
Oh, he says recruits. I mean, I agree with you on that.
And here's another thing on top of this. We play Tennessee, in 2 weeks, right? You lose
what
the
I
Tennessee
was saying,
game.
if you'll let me finish on on the bye week, if we could come back and make some changes and beat Tennessee at home and setting at 6-2, and then we go to Mississippi State, a team on the road, and win that, then Kentucky is right back in the driver's seat to where they could maybe get to a New Year's Six bowl.
I agree. And then, but the key thing that I heard a podcast the other day. I think it was who was it? Might have been Josh Pate or somebody. He said, but the issue is you come back to the Tennessee game and you lose that game, you pretty much lose the fan base for the whole season. They switched to basketball.
Well, and a lot of them will, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
that's my
all right,
last
guys.
thing.
We're not going to get into a big, huge, deep thing. I just wanted to John kind of wanted to touch on stuff here. And Wireman, I promise you, I have not forgotten Kentucky's football history. I promise. Like I said, Joker Phillips couldn't win his way out of a wet paper bag. And Bill Curry, and I mean the list goes on and on.
Bill Curry Bill Curry was not a coach. Bill Curry could just talk. Bill Curry was a good talker.
Great human being, awesome guy, great human being, terrible coach. I mean, terrible.
Man, this has been awesome tonight. We haven't had this many people talking in a long time. Oh, God. Wireman.
No, Wireman. We don't bring that stuff up here on the College SportsCast.
He's trying to stir up.
But I am glad you guys are on with us. It's been a great show tonight. Y'all catch our show next time on Thursday night. We did our game day pitch show, me and John, and I'll have Taylor's picks with us too. And we will pick.
Wireman's trying to stir up a hornet's nest tonight.
Yeah, I know. We'll pick 10 or 12 of the best games of the week for college football. That Penn State-Ohio State game is going to be one of them, and we do use DraftKings spreads. So
Josh said,
tune in.
Josh said, fix your mic, Brad.
I'm trying. This is a brand new one again, so.
Don't care about the war, class. See what you started,
guys. Y'all tune in. This has been College SportsCast, the Big Fuss Show, Week 8. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Have a good one.